I will call to order this June 1st meeting at MCSD for our closed session.
Ready for a roll call?
Ready for roll call?
Director Bender?
Present.
Director Mayo?
Here.
Director Couch?
Here.
And Director Orsini and Clark Peterson are absent.
Thank you.
I know Orsini has the COVID. What's the direction?
She's a work thing.
Yeah,
What?
family and work thing.
She said about a week ago she was.
Yeah, she was.
All right, well, A2, public comment and written communications. Seeing nobody here, we'll move on beyond that. And so we'll go to our A3 closed session discussion, which is conference with real property negotiator. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. No report out of the closed session. Let's see, call us to order. Can we do a roll call?
Director Bender?
Present.
Director Mayo?
Here.
President Couch?
Here.
And Directors Orsini and Clark Peterson are absent.
Thank you. So, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see, April, do we have any additions for the agenda?
No additions to the agenda.
All right, we need to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
No, second.
Thank you.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
President Couch?
Aye. Right, public hearings. These are items of a quasi-judicial or legislative nature. Public comments relevant to these proceedings are invited. We have no public hearings scheduled tonight. C, we have public comment and written communications. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject not identified on this agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the McKinleyville Community Service District. However, any matter that requires action will be referred to staff for report of action at a subsequent committee or board meeting. As to matters on the agenda, an opportunity will be given to address the board when the matter is considered. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Letters should be used for complex issues. Anyone from the public want to comment? Seeing no one stepping up, we'll move the consent calendar. Oh, go ahead. Come, there's a microphone over here if you want to step on out. Hold on, we can't hear you.
Turn him up.
Thank you. Good evening. I really like McKinleyville because it seems like it's a chapter of the world. Oh, Jesus. It's really nice. People town. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to create a theme park of some sort because I was inspired by Walt Disney. I lived down in Los Angeles for Disneyland every summer. But I thought, gosh, and I look around today and I see there's a lot of people that what can I do to help that? And I have this idea for this little theme park. It's about, let's say, on a 4-acre parcel. It's called Blissland. And basically what it is a place where people come to be healed. So the idea is there's 4 yurts. There's a healing yurt, there's a medicine yurt, there's a music and art yurt, there's a spiritual yurt where Jesus will be featured. There's a little pond. And the whole thing is surrounded by trees. And it's something where people can come in and begin the process of healing in the main entrance there. And then proceed around the park. Park also, I'd like to also have a small church and clock tower and 4 bathrooms. Area for camping and that kind of thing. So it has run the thing. With a town center with a converter and a control to present this idea to McKinley, we'll see what you all think. Probably, I don't know what the costs are, because I'm not an expert as far as building. But I've learned, and I know that it would be a nice place for people to go to. There would be there'd be solar cars to take people there and back. And it would be a place where you could just relax and see if you're not happy. So that's the idea. It's called Kiss the Land. I want to see people might be interested in doing it.
Thank you.
I know we're not able to really comment on all that. I just wanted to say that you should have been here 50 years ago if you think that this is a church capital. You should have been here 50 years ago. It really was. I was here 50 years ago. So was I.
All right. So we'll move to D, the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial to be acted upon by the board of directors at one time without discussion. If any board member, staff member, or interested person requests that an item removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed so that it may be acted upon separately. Removals?
Bend your mic down for everybody. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve this consent calendar as published.
Second.
Dr. Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
And President Couch?
Yes. Right. Move to item E, which is continued and new business. So E1, consider adoption of resolution 2022-16, recognizing, honoring, and commending Eric Jones for 20 years of service.
Thank you. Task for the Board of Directors review is a microphone that isn't turned on. It requires a thumb. 2 thumbs, sorry.
Check. Attached to the Board of Directors review is Resolution 2022-16,
Recognizing, honoring, and commending Eric Jones for his 20 continuous years of service. Please join us in presenting Eric Jones with the Resolution and Longevity Award, acknowledging his continued outstanding contributions to the McKinleyville Community Services District. Go ahead and read the resolution. Sorry. Resolution 2022-16, whereas Eric Jones, having faithfully served 20 continuous years as an employee of McKinleyville Community Service District from June 3rd, 2002 to June 3rd, 2022. Whereas throughout his years of service, Eric has demonstrated unwavering loyalty, commitment, and dedication. Whereas Eric lends his talents, experience, and leadership to the development and service of the district, having served in a variety of positions such as utility person, backhoe operator, a treatment plant operator, backflow prevention tester, and currently as the lead person. Whereas Eric has trained staff on DCB testing, equipment operation, woodworking, roofing, troubleshooting, and Class B driving test preparations. And whereas Eric's versatile skills has benefited the district in many ways, such as troubleshooting station failures, fabricating parts, supervising a crew, and overseeing miscellaneous projects such as the Teen Center, the Pavilion, the library expansion, North Bay Pump Station awning, which have resulted in significant cost savings to the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the McKinleyville Community Service District hereby confers upon Eric Jones as the highest commendation for the dedicated services he has performed for the district and the community, and further marks his historic accomplishments as McKinleyville Community Service District's employee for 20 years. The end.
Thank you.
I'm staring at me. You're staring at me. Finish. Like, that's it.
You guys, board have any comments or?
Congratulations. It's been a real pleasure working with you and watching you out in the community. I'm always in a different rig, so people don't know always that I'm around. But I see a lot of, interaction.
So you're watching him.
I'm watching every day. And so, I see you doing lots of stuff here, and I really appreciate it. And other than your bad attitude, you've been really good. Congratulations. Yeah.
Well, I gotta admire people who stick around for that long. You must have some pretty good guys you work with. I also appreciate the fact that you're packing all this institutional knowledge around. That you're generous in sharing that with those who you train, those who will take your place one day. And with each day, you pack a little bit more of that knowledge, back into what you do, and in return, the community as a whole benefits from it. On behalf of the ratepayers, which I represent, thank you very much.
I want to thank you too. 20 years. I hope you get another 10 or 15, more. I don't know what your what your plan is. I know you're probably in the class of PERS, so you got 20's not quite enough. I don't think. So, anyway, congratulations. We do appreciate you.
I'm going to jump in if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I will never stop telling the board and the public how great a staff we have here. And it all comes down from the top. Everyone knows it's not James, so it must be here.
I almost out and everything.
There are a few exceptions.
Sorry.
Eric is one of those just totally competent people that no matter what you ask him to do, steps up and it's going to get done right. Really appreciate that. I just hope he keeps buying trucks, so he does. Thanks, Eric, very much for all you do every day.
I like the fact of how easily we rolled him over on the negotiations.
Yeah, I'll push over.
We got
Can I go to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Where do I begin with Eric? I have gray hair because of Eric, and I'm losing it apparently. Like Eric. Eric's been there 20 years, as the resolution says. 10 years of it, half of the time he's been a lay person. Eric's great to work with. Eric really stepped up and during COVID, and had to separate crews, and they all came together and worked. But Eric was bouncing around at different stations, and the crew ran really good. And I'd like to thank Eric for that. It was a very stressful time that caught us all by surprise. Eric's a really good singer and guitar player. For those of you that don't know, and maybe someday we'll get him to sing for us.
you guys do a duet for us?
We have done duets.
No, for us.
We do it for children's parties, Dennis. No, Eric, I appreciate your hard work. Thank you very much. I tell Eric every day what I think about him.
Hey, come on, right now, acapella, get your butt up there.
But yes, thank you.
Eric, next board meeting, I want you to sing the national anthem. Practice up a little bit, if you can do it.
In the Chris Stapleton voice too.
You can do the boom, 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 boom behind it. Keep it running.
Eric,
Anyone else, or public comment?
I'm gonna stand up and say thank you, Eric, for everything you do.
Put in the mic so we can tape it.
It's
Hey,
definitely
Charlie,
I,
in the mic so we can tape it. This is a public meeting.
I remember everything you just said.
Not a skateboard.
Thank you, Eric.
deal.
I got 3 minutes to talk, right?
You
That's
go.
right.
You're really appreciated. We appreciate what you guys do in the service district, so I just want to thank you. 20 years here is awesome. I hope you're here another 20. I know you don't want to put that long, but we need to keep people like you, or find somebody to replace you so you can retire. That's a key. Anyway, thank you very much.
I want to say congratulations to Eric. I know 20 years is it's actually a long time to stick around, and I mean, it takes a good mindset and just to find a job that you love that you stick around with. I mean, he's been a great mentor and a teacher to all of us out in the field. With every job that he assigns, he does it well, and he makes sure it goes off without a hitch. And I mean, as I've seen him grow since he became a leader, and it's awesome to actually see all the knowledge and stuff that he pertains, that he actually passes down to us, which is very knowledgeable. And I know his job's not easy because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that, besides keeping us busy, there's reports and all kinds of paperwork and SCADA that we don't see that you do. That it's like, oh, his job looks easy, but when you look into it, it's pretty tough. So I think you do a great job.
I'm David Baldasser. I work at the district as well. I want to congratulate Eric on making it 20 years. I sometimes feel like we need to ask him to speak up. He's hard to hear once in a while. But his ability to relate ideas and to present information is really appreciated. As Chris just said, the way you keep it working smooth with the field, if something comes up missing, we appreciate that. Congratulations, sir.
I was gonna say, I don't have to get up because I have a microphone right here. I've heard it several times, as people were talking today. I think one of the phrases that best describes you, Eric, is step up. When there's a situation, you're the guy who steps up. You're an incredibly creative problem solver, right? So when I had no idea how to, I mean, and this is for small things and large, you know. When I had no idea how to get a thing to hang on my wall the right way, and you're like, oh yeah, we'll just do this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Wait, Eric said, you said you told Eric how to do that.
So, that's that kind of creative thinking and willingness to step up is what's made you really good in the lead position. And I'm glad, I mean, that's a position I have more interaction with than most of the rest of the crew. And I've really appreciated working with you. And the other thing I appreciate about you, just saying, sense of humor. So, congratulations on 20 years. That's a heck of an accomplishment. Good job.
Okay, another turn.
James.
So I have to share an embarrassing moment. For me, embarrassing for me. So I got a very touching text today that I thought was to me. And it reads this. This is from Drew, one of our workers who could not be here. I don't know why I thought it was for me at first, because there's a big long, I'll skip that, but then it says Eric. That's where it got embarrassing. I'm happy for you and admire how dedicated you've been to the district. You've been a great boss in many ways, but I'd have to say in 2 ways that stand out more. How much you care about us, support us, trying to better ourselves, I'm just gonna mess this up, and get a chance to do the cool jobs. I know for a fact that our whole crew recognizes this support. And the second thing is you got a great brain for troubleshooting. You're our best guy about thinking and dissecting how things work to be able to troubleshoot backwards, so to speak. It's quality that I personally admire the most. And I'll learn how to read before next time and use you as an example when I think of how I want to be. So congratulations, Eric. You deserve recognition that you received. I won't read what he says after that.
Excellent.
Then he really pissed me off. But anyway, that was from Drew, from one of the guys who couldn't be here.
Wow, he must be fishing for a raise.
Or the cool jobs.
For a job.
First off, say congratulations, Eric, for 20 years. That's a hell of a haul. I, for one, get to spend a lot of time in the office with you, so I feel like our relationship is definitely, been built over the years, and I appreciate your charisma and what you stand for as not just a person, but as a worker and everything else, and it's very contagious. Your work ethic is contagious, the way you look at things is contagious, your humor is contagious, and I think it's trickled down to all of us in one way or another, and
COVID was contagious.
kind of contagious, and I like to think that, my work relationship with you has evolved from a coworker to a friendship, and I really appreciate everything that, that you've done and been there for, and I appreciate your kind words. So, congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you all for all the kind words. I really do appreciate it. It's pretty easy to excel working with the crew that I work with. I can't take credit for the choices that were made, for many of the choices that were made as far as who came on this establishment. But I find myself just blessed and very lucky to work with all of you and ladies as well. We could do it without teamwork. I think this is a wonderful group of people, and I just, like I said, I feel very blessed to work with the district the last 20 years with this crew. Thank you.
Well, Eric, I was gonna say thanks, and to have so many of your crew in here says a world, more than what we could say from up here. So I appreciate that. Thanks all you guys for coming in. Great shows. Yep. And also, we need to do the motion again.
That's right.
Somebody.
I will make the motion that we approve resolution 2022-16, recognizing Mr. Jones for his 2 decades of service to MCSD.
Second.
The suspense.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
And President Couch?
Yes. Well, he's got
Photoshop.
opportunity.
Little photo opportunity.
Over here.
We got one, but I don't.
That's fancy.
Well, you better bring one, but you never know what might change. Sharks.
Guys in the background here.
Well, pretty guy in the back.
I don't know.
Come on back, you can hear that. There you go.
Capital of Sydney?
Did you hit me?
Do it. Oh, come on, fellas. James, get in here too. He'll take the picture.
Ears down. There we go. Ears down. Although we can Photoshop those out.
Appreciate it.
Oh.
So, next time y'all come, bring a damn pizza. You know, I mean, come on, man.
Got cookies last month.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Right, well. We have item E2, just consider adoption of resolution 2022-17, recognizing, honoring Colleen M.R. Trask on her retirement.
Yep, and I'm gonna jump right in and read the resolutions. So resolution 2022-17 is a resolution recognizing, honoring, and commending Colleen Trask for serving McKinleyville Community Services District with distinction as the finance director. Whereas Colleen Trask, having faithfully served over 10 continuous years as the finance director of the McKinleyville Community Services District from April 2nd, 2012 to July 2022, and whereas throughout her years of service, Colleen has served with distinction and honor and demonstrated financial leadership and expertise, commitment, and dedication. And whereas Colleen provides her talents and experience to the district to lead the district finance and customer relations department. And whereas Colleen has played a shining role in ensuring that the financial foundation of the district is exceptionally firm and has worked with numerous district boards, department managers, general managers, and district staff to ensure budgets are balanced, rates are fair, and operational expenses are covered. And whereas Colleen has shown great leadership, creativity, and support in helping her staff, colleagues, supervisors, the general manager, and the board with her technical and leadership skills to ensure that the district's customers and accounting systems run smoothly and support the district's strategic vision. And whereas Colleen's loyalty to the district, unwavering commitment to customers, staff, and coworkers, and trustworthiness in all matters truly has made a lasting impact and improvement to the district and to the community of McKinleyville, and will continue to do so for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the McKinleyville Community Services District does hereby present and confer upon Colleen Trask, as a token of its appreciation, its highest commendation for the dedicated service she has performed for the district and the community, and further marks this momentous accomplishment as the McKinleyville Community Services District Finance Director for over 10 years, and wishes her happiness and prosperity in her many, many retirement years. The staff recommends that the Board of Directors consider adoption of Resolution 2022-17, honoring Colleen Trask for her years of service to the McKinleyville Community Services District at the occasion of her retirement.
Okay. Well, do we have any comments from anyone other than?
Well, I'll start off. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate, you know, your help with me. You know, you could show me almost anything on a financial spreadsheet and tell me what it was, and I'd go, oh, okay. and that's just a fact. And so I appreciate your, you know,
keeping that sorted out for me and helping me through that. And understanding, and I know you do, the constitutional obligation that we have financially to our ratepayers. And you've taken that seriously. I know you've spoken about it at times. That means a lot to me, and it should to our ratepayers in the district. And your care and concern for it's probably not the right terminology, but for the disadvantaged parts of our community and making sure that they were taken care of and looking out for that. And you've done that, and you've spoken to it, and I really appreciate that, Colleen. And so thank you very much for your service to not just the district, but to the community as a whole.
I was going to say, Colleen, I remember prior to you, we went through some tumultuous times sometimes with finance directors. And I just appreciate the stability and the excellence you brought to the position. So just stability, that's nothing, but for the finance director, that's a great thing. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, we've got some really heady projects here, and you've overseen those. I mean, we've got some really remarkable projects here.
Okay, well, as the new kid on the block here, you know, I have a limited experience with you. I do remember during my onboarding in early 2021, you were very patient with me and answering all my questions, showing me your XLS spreadsheet in your office, showing me how it worked, and you explained it so well that now Ms. Souza sends it to me every month. My board packet, so I can go through it that way, because that's how I learned it. You know, and you know, that and combined with your report in here, you know, it helps helps me make sense of the ins and outs of the district's finances. I still don't know, but maybe this much of it. But each time I go through it, I learn a little bit more. With each question I get answered, I get a little bit more. By the time I'm these guys' board year ages, I ought to have about maybe 30% of it down. Anyway,
25.
Oh, okay. So voice of experience there. Anyway, you know, I do appreciate your dedication, your service to not only the MCSD, but to the ratepayers whom you know, we serve on their behalf of. And I hope you have a great retirement, and we'll be seeing you around, I'm sure.
If I jump in?
Go ahead.
So I said this last time, Colleen, but I'll say it again. You know, you are one of the main reasons that I came to this position, because I knew that the district was on such great financial footing. Large part to you and a little part to the board, but
yeah, very little, huh? Okay.
And yes, I very much appreciate you holding my hand for the past couple of years and teaching me the finances. And I think the rating that we got from the bond agency, the AAA minus rating, was amazing, and I think it's due a large part to you. So thank you very much for everything, and you will truly be missed.
Anyone from? Whoa. Open it up.
Go ahead. No, you were up first. I won't cry about it.
I just want to say, being part of the community, thank you so much for what you do, but also as part of the park group and me getting to see your spreadsheets and working with Leslie. And I will say this for the whole park group, it really helps us understand where our recreation money is going and how it all comes together. So you are greatly appreciated. You will be missed, but I know you have a great person coming in behind you. You've been training, so I'm sure we'll see the same great results coming from Nicole. And if you're ever bored, you know, the collective can always use somebody to look over our financials. Thank you so much, Cole.
The public gets to see myself and the crew out in the the public doing what we do. And, make sure the water's all flowing the right way to the houses and away from it. But we couldn't do what we do without you, Colleen, Dave, and the rest of the staff, Joe. You really keep things moving. You're usually behind the scenes. Joe, not so much. Joe's pretty much in the public eye more than the rest of us. But that behind the scenes, making sure everything's, the business end of our industry is being taken care of is so important, as we all know. But I don't think that you get the opportunity for the kudos from the public that a lot of the people do when we go out and fix a leak in the middle of the night or what have you. And again, the work that you've done over the last 10 years is every bit as important. So I just want to thank you for that.
You make it 10 years and then you leave. James has been here 28. Some of those are part-time. We won't worry about that. Anyways, since you're going to Nevada, be careful, don't develop a gambling habit. Good luck finding to find swords with over there. Scott will have to take up sword fighting just to get you through. He can build something for you to beat. So, and we talked about it yesterday, 5 weeks. So, for the last few weeks, and thank you for all you've done. And we miss you.
My turn. Colleen hired me, which hopefully that's a good thing. The room goes quiet. Yeah.
I headhunted you from Starbucks.
Yes. But one of the things that Colleen has done for us, especially as front office staff, is Colleen is an exemplary leader for us. And for me, starting so young and inexperienced, she's developed me so far from what I started from, and she's really good at bringing out the best in you as a worker and striving to do better and learn new skills. And you managed to turn an applied math student into an accountant student, so that's a big thing. So thank you, Colleen. Congratulations.
Is it on? Okay. So for those I don't know, I'm Nicole. I'm the new Colleen. And I've only had the opportunity to work with Colleen for a few months, but I just wanted to talk about what a great teacher she is, and just in these few months, what a great mentor she's been for me. I've worked in accounting for a number of years, but she's able to take really complicated concepts and explain them in a way that is very easy to understand. And I just feel really lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with you these past few months, and I'm honored that I have the ability to follow up behind you, because I think you really did a great job with the district, and I hope I can do as good of a job as you've done.
And we do as well.
Can I go before you? It's time for people to know the truth. Colleen has been punching me for the last 10 years. No, I will miss those punches, Colleen, and I do wish you well. I do hope you have a good time. I do hope you come back and visit. Colleen and I took one road trip together. I think the whole time there, it was a conversation. We had to go to Sacramento for a training, and the whole time there, we were talking about motorcycles. It was like, yeah. And she's like, "How fast can you get to Reading?" And I'm, I don't know, like 2 hours and 15 minutes. She's like, "I can do it 2:10." Okay, you're serious?
serious, we're not talking. No, so I definitely will miss the county meetings, and I do miss with Colleen a lot. She's very forgiving after she hits me.
Yeah. Like, all you guys just managed to do the thing, to get me to do the thing I was telling myself that I wasn't gonna do, and that's tear up. But, this has been, really, really good 10 years. And truthfully, no finance director is better than people that they work with. So the idea that that I've done all these things, well, yes and no. I mean, yes, all these things happened, but they happened as part of a team. My commitment to the ratepayers and to customer service wouldn't be worth much if I didn't have the people that I have in front office facing the public with tremendous professionalism and skill and commendable calm and willingness to help. My efforts to keep the district fiscally healthy would avail nothing if I didn't have general managers like Greg and Pat and a board that was willing to listen and strive to understand stuff that most people just, it's like you put up a spreadsheet or whatever and their eyes glaze over, and it's like, no, but you guys show up and try to work your way through the numbers so that you can make the best decisions possible. And those decisions are going to serve this community, not just yesterday, not just today, but 50 years into the future, 100 years into the future. Yeah, it's, people, like, I don't know, a lot of times the attitude towards work is kind of like yeah, you go to work and then you really gun for the weekend and the time off, but work in itself is meaningful. Being able to accomplish these things, to work with great people, and to do things that are of use and service and value to the whole community is a big deal. That's a serious thing, and I don't think that gets enough credit either. And so for all of you being here and helping me do what I do, and I'm helping you do what you do, and all together, we make ourselves, our families, our coworkers, our district, our community better. It gets better, and that's because of all of you. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this for the last decade. I really, really appreciate it. And yes, of course I'm going to come back and vote you. What do you think?
I'm going to bring it back to the board because we need a motion.
I'll move the motion.
I'll second.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
President Cox?
Hardy is.
Okay, and you guys got her a really nice mix.
Yes, look at what you got for her.
You did such a good job, Dave.
We'll do it too.
Come on, you guys. Look at that. Hey, she's the finest. custom.
Okay, okay.
They're all looking at Nicole, not me. Nicole, do you want in on this? Always looking at everybody.
But, yeah.
Come on.
Like how I gave you the kind of stuff.
Oh, my goodness gracious. My gracious and my goodness. You him, didn't you?
Good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Refill.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Really no water.
Need a pretty up there.
Somebody want a water filtration system recommendation the other day, I told you.
No, we have really good water here. Yeah, well,
We went several times, several times, more than several, and we've taken our water to, different things with the regions, the California region. We win every time. I mean, seriously, we got water.
Just taste the glue in the pipes.
Oh,
House.
your house. Okay.
20 years.
You need to quit eating a little bitty mushrooms.
All right.
Or else eat more of them.
Item
than the other.
E3. We're moving on.
All right.
Consider approval of the right of entry, design, and construction agreement between the Humboldt Skate Park Collective and McKinleyville Community Service District. And it says Leslie, but I see no Leslie. Oh, Leslie's here zooming in. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for allowing me to zoom in. I went to pick up my mother from the airport in San Francisco today. So that's where I am right now. Okay. On October 4th, 2017, the Board of Directors approved a 36-month right of entry and design agreement between MCSD and the Humboldt Skate Park Collective for access to the undeveloped lot east of Umpqua Bank and south of the law enforcement facility for the purpose of designing and fundraising for the construction of an approximate 20,000 square foot skate park. The board approved a draft design in May of 2019. In November of 2020, the Board of Directors approved a 12-month extension to the right of entry agreement. Given that the district is currently awaiting notification regarding the Rural Recreation and Tourism Grant application that was submitted in January 2022 for the construction of a skate park, and given that the Humboldt Skate Park Collective has continually pursued grants and other funding for this project since the granting of the 2017 right of entry agreement, Staff and the Humboldt Skate Park Collective are requesting that the board approve a right of entry, design, and construction agreement in attachment 1 for another 36-month period. Any construction would be contingent upon board approval of a final design and the Humboldt Skate Park Collectives and/or district staff's ability to show sufficient funding to complete the project. Staff recommends that the board review the information provided, air questions, take public comment, discuss, and approve the right of entry, design, and construction agreement between the Humboldt Skate Park Collective and McKinleyville Community Services District. And if Charlie has anything to add, I would invite him to speak on this as well.
I don't
Thank you,
have anything
Leslie.
to add at this time. If you have questions for me, that's why I'm here.
Did you hear that, Leslie? Charlie's good, unless the board has questions.
Okay.
I have no questions. I think this is just a pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. It's well written.
36 months is a good time, I think. It's not a year. Okay, well, I need a motion.
Okay, I move that we have approval for the right of entry, design, and construction agreement between the HSPC and the MCSD.
Second.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Mann?
Yes.
President Couch?
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
We'll see you tomorrow night, Charlie.
I'm gonna be cooking chili all day here tomorrow.
Are we having the deal out here though tomorrow night?
Chili?
Oh,
Chili.
but it's not our.
Chili feed. No.
Oh, okay, so it's the
Cooking
next.
fresh chili feed.
Okay, all right. Well, good deal. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next we have item E4, which is 2021-22 budget review and potential amendment. Colleen.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not gonna reread or rehash the staff note, but the general rule is that anytime we have a major budget line that is predictable, that goes over, that deviates more than 10% from the original budget, we bring it to the board for an amendment, for a formal amendment. This year, we have three. We have parks, we have the streetlights, and we have the water fund. And in each case, the budget line that is adjusting is the revenue line for the capital grants. So, and the reason for that is that the timing for those projects, the projects has been shifted over to the following fiscal year. So you'll see that revenue and the projects show up in the budget that we're going to present in the next item. So the streetlights pole inspection, the parks, the Prop 68 grant, the majority of that work is not going to be completed until and placed in service until fiscal year 22-23. So that's changed. And then for the water fund, the 4.5 million gallon tank, we expect it to be farther along than we are. Part of that, and most of that the board knows about already because there's been some delays and difficulties in the property acquisition process. So, yes. So that, of course, pushes the whole project back, but it also makes the revenue line really significantly deviate. And so we needed to bring that back to the board for So, any other questions about it or anything else? Get that sorted out.
Very good. Well, that's pretty clear.
Okay, then I think we need a motion for, this is an action or roll call vote. Motion and a second, and then all the good stuff.
All right. Okay. How to word it here. I'll make a motion that we accept the fiscal year 21-22 budget review and potential amendment as written in the board packet.
Second.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
President Couch?
Yes. Right, item E5, consider approval of the fiscal year 2022-23 budget and approve resolution 2018 establishing appropriation limits for fiscal year 2022-23 and presented by Nicole Alvarado, Finance Director. Two.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So this is your fiscal year budget for 22-23. So next year's budget. The budget has been adjusted from the drafts that you've seen over the preceding months. We've adjusted some assumptions regarding revenue streams, grants, and capital projects. The parks budget has been adjusted to reflect the timing of grant revenue for the skate park and the BMX track. The water and the wastewater budgets have also been adjusted to better reflect the timing of grant revenue for the 4.5 million gallon tank and the upgrades to the wastewater undercrossings. These grants and their associated expenditures are anticipated to be spread through FY 23-24, resulting in some revenues being recorded in 22-23 and the remaining revenues recorded in 23-24. The budgets, graphs, historical trend analysis, capital projects budgets, and narratives are included in the final budget document, which you have in your agendas. And what's also included in your packet are the appropriations limit calculation, which is an annual item that is required by California state law. The appropriations limit calculates the amount of property tax revenue that may be spent by local governments, including special districts, is calculated based on population growth and other factors. Staff recommends that the board review and take public comment on the FY 2022-23 budget and approve resolution 2022-18 establishing the appropriation limit for FY 2022 and 23. And one thing I will note is that on the resolution there was a typo that staff identified. The title includes the year 2021-22 and it should read 2022-23. We're available to answer any questions you might have about your budget document.
Well, I have no questions, since we already did it once, this is.
Okay, I just have one question, and that is the appropriation limit calculates the amount of property tax revenue that may be spent by local governments, including special districts. It's calculated on population growth and other factors. What would be some examples of other factors it is calculated on?
So it's not just about population growth. One of the other major factors that drives that calculation is the value of the parcels within the district boundaries. So every year, part of that worksheet is a listing from the county assessor's office of the valuations of all parcels. So as that increases, the amount of money that should ideally be available for spending, it will also increase because the ad valorem tax is based on the value of the parcels. And there are also limitations around population growth. So a dramatic increase. Humboldt County's population has been very, very flat for a very long time. But a significant increase, for instance, in population growth would also kick that calculation up, increase the limit. We always spend way under the limit because that's what the county allocates to us. But we have to do, you know, as an independent special district, we still have to do the calculation and show that. So those are the major factors. There's some very minor factors as well that involve like payroll taxes and stuff like that.
So,
Thank you for sating my curiosity.
Welcome.
So I just wanted to comment, when you talk about population growth and how, and the effects, et cetera. We are going to see some population growth. I don't know countywide whether that increase will be significant with the universities changing and other things. They're talking about perhaps maybe 145,000 total population in the county at X amount of time. So that's about an 8,000 or 9,000 population growth, which is still not an astronomical amount of people in Humboldt County. Unfortunately, that growth will come to Cutton, to the districts in Fortuna area and in McKinleyville. So those are things we are going to have to keep really good track on.
Well, it's actually the numbers that we use to do this particular calculation. I mean, you're right, we will have to keep track on it simply from a service standpoint, in terms of making sure that the brush and flush is available to everyone in McKinleyville, right? But the fact is, the state puts out every year a statement of population, an estimated population growth, and that's another backup document that goes into that calculation. And it does show, it has shown over past years, some of the demographic shift. It only tracks specifically population in incorporated cities or townships.
Right.
So it'll track Eureka, Arcata, Fortuna, Trinidad, et cetera. The number that we use is the one that is the leftovers, the population of the county as a whole. So that's the one we have to use simply because McKinleyville is not incorporated. So in that sense, that will probably go up and it will probably increase our upper limit. But I don't think it's going to, it doesn't really reflect McKinleyville as a community. And honestly, since the appropriation limit doesn't really impact our, either the money that we get from the county or how we spend it, it's kind of a moot point. But I think your point about more, dealing with more people as Cal Poly Humboldt comes fully online is the important point.
One of the parts of that and I understand, I think, the perspective that you're presenting to us, but another perspective that we have to keep in focus is the card shuffling underneath of that before it gets to that point. And a prime example is we asked the county recently to provide us with some accurate numbers on how many lots they have calculated for some of their new changes and what's going to be projected for the future and what they don't have those numbers at all. They couldn't tell us at all. And now 3 significant people in county planning have tendered their resignation. So there's some things that aren't necessarily like on the financial spreadsheet that you're keeping very good track of, but that is a subtext to that we as a board have to really keep track of, and conversely then it's something that y'all have to kind of keep in the background of your thought process. And in fact, it doesn't change how you do your calculations on its face. I get that, but it's the potential for growth really puts us in a situation where all of a sudden that equation is totally. And now, don't get me wrong. I don't know these equations, but I would imagine that 250 new things that we weren't prepared for could make a significant difference in our bookkeeping. Correct me if I'm wrong.
From a strategic standpoint, I mean, and this is the board level, policy level issue, you are 100% correct. I mean, from a strategic standpoint and in terms of how Nicole and Pat and the board organize the finances going forward so that we can make sure that everybody in McKinleyville is served to our mission to the best of our ability, that's a big deal. For this particular thing, you're right, it doesn't, it's a moot point, it's not really an issue, but for going forward on a strategic level, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I respectfully would submit that I think we have the board to deal with that.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mean to get too esoteric in that thought process, but those are the kind of things that I think about a lot as we're dealing with this stuff, because I can't do your financial calculations.
I think I'm gonna reserve my worry until we see some numbers from county.
That's a way. I tend to be just the opposite, but that's a good mix. Anyway, thank you from my perspective. Again, sorry to.
Your turn to make a motion.
I move to forward the motion.
My turn to second it.
Okay.
Dr. Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
I should know this, and I feel just ridiculous asking this silly question, but there's only 3 of us here. If one of us didn't vote, would the motion die? Okay, all right. I was pretty sure that was the case, but I'm not thinking clearly. Anyway, thanks.
Chance for power.
Yeah, that's all I want, baby.
We gotta be unanimous here tonight.
I want power that I don't have to pay for.
If we didn't pass the budget, you'd have to pay for it. All right. Let's see, we get to move to item E6 now, which is consider adoption of resolution 2022-19, instituting stage 2 water conservation measures as required by Governor's Executive Order N-720 and State Water Regional Control Board emergency regulations.
So this one's mine. So in March 2022, the governor issued Executive Order N-7-22 directing the State Water Resources Control Board to develop an emergency order that includes or addresses several drought and water conservation measures. The 3 items of the emergency order that will impact the district are detailed below. Note that the following language is from the draft order. The final order was scheduled for adoption and it was adopted at the May 24th, 2022 State Water Resources Control Board meeting. And they go into effect on June 10th, 2022. So items that are pertinent to the district are each urban water supplier shall submit to the Department of Water Resources a preliminary annual water supply and demand assessment consistent with section 10.632.1 of the Water Code no later than June 1st, 2022, and submit a final annual water supply and demand assessment to the Department of Water Resources no later than deadline set by section 10.632.1 of the Water Code. And paragraph C, each urban water supplier that has submitted a water shortage contingency plan to the Department of Water Resources shall implement by June 10th, 2022, at a minimum, the demand reduction actions identified in the supplier's water shortage contingency plan, adopted under Water Code 10.632 for a shortage level of up to 20%, which is considered level 2. And paragraph E1, to prevent the unreasonable use of water and to promote water conservation, the use of potable water is prohibited for the irrigation of non-functional turf at commercial, industrial, and institutional sites. Notwithstanding subdivision E1, the use of water is not prohibited by this section to the extent necessary to ensure the health of trees and other perennial non-turf plantings, or to the extent necessary to address an immediate health and safety. So in compliance with paragraph B, MCSD completed the draft annual water supply and demand assessment on the Department of Water Resources spreadsheets and submitted it to DWR. So that one's done. The district's final annual water supply and demand assessment will be submitted to the DWR's water use efficiency data website by July 1st. It should be noted that the assessment demonstrates that the district is currently at stage 0, or indicating that there is no drought or no water conservation measures are required according to those calculations. It's also important to note that as of the week of May 4th, Ruth Reservoir was 2 feet over the spillway. I actually looked at it today and it's right at the spillway level, so Ruth is full. Compliance with paragraph E is required by commercial, industrial, and institutional sites. The district has no turf that falls within the requirements of this paragraph. The State Water Resources Control Board has also made it clear that they will not expect municipalities to enforce this paragraph. One of the things that changed from the draft to the final order, though, is that they institute a $500 per day fine for folks who do not comply with that. Even though the district is not in a drought, paragraph C requires us to implement our water shortage contingency plan and pass a resolution adopting the stage 2 reductions. Stage 2 of our water conservation plan consists of the following voluntary conservation measures. It requests the use of hose and shut-off nozzles on all garden and utility hoses. Refrain from washing cars, boats, trailers, and other vehicles except by hose with shut-off nozzle and bucket. Promptly repair all leaks in plumbing fixtures, water lines, and sprinkler systems, and request reduction in outdoor irrigation and ornamental landscapes. Attached resolution 2022-19 implements these measures. Implementation will consist of providing information on the district's website. We will not be actively enforcing customers' conformance with these measures. So staff recommends that the board listen to the staff report, discuss, take public comment, and approve resolution 2022-19 instituting stage 2 water conservation measures.
But we're lucky we live up here.
I've got one question. On the fiscal analysis, it appears as though the last sentence was truncated.
Yeah, so it is impossible to quantify the impacts on the fiscal analysis of this. We don't know. They're not mandatory, they're voluntary, so we don't know how much people are going to reduce their water usage. It should be noted, we are in the middle of doing the rate study, and we have asked Willdan, the consultant that is doing the rate study, to this year also incorporate drought measured rates. So rates that can be like a surcharge rate. If we do end up in higher stages of drought, we can implement those drought rates to recoup our loss of revenue associated with reduced water usage. Sorry for the truncated sentence.
Well, I'd make a motion, but the second is in the bathroom.
Ever been an estimate on what our personal usage is in McKinleyville for water, or? I mean, I remember the last drought, we had all these, goals of, gallons per day.
Yeah, and James's report also every month shows how much we've done. Although it's not always a reduction that we are getting, and that came out of those requirements. What is our usage per day, James?
1.2 to 1.4. We average 1.2.
What's that breakdown, which is hard to do per person, many people are
Roughly
restricted to
50.
50. Roughly 50?
Yeah.
That we're using?
We're 50 gallons per capita per day,
Oh,
which is
okay,
based
so
off of.
we're already below our, threshold, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's based off population and days of the month, obviously.
It's likely to go down to 40 in some places later this summer. I don't know whether we'll fall into that bailiwick or not.
Yeah, the governor has been, because it's so dry down south, the governor has already been talking about going past this.
Right.
Making things mandatory.
But so far, he's still also at least leaning toward regionality. Leaning.
Yeah.
Leaning, I can say for sure.
That came up during the State Water Resources Control Board had a public meeting on this language, and Humboldt Bay was there, and they made the comment, and there's so many other districts and cities that jumped on after Humboldt Bay saying, yeah, you guys are applying this across the state as a uniform thing, and we aren't in a drought. We have plenty of water.
So that one of the problems is, and we need to keep on that, last time when we did the regional thing, Marin was with us but they're now really short of water, which they weren't before. Their reservoir really not doing well. So, some of the support we had for that concept is waned in a few other places. Anyway. Whatever.
Yeah, and I say we aren't in a drought. We actually, if you look at the numbers, we are up here too in a drought, but we have plenty of potable water.
Right. So, how hard would that be for us to, let's just say it went down to 45.
That we would be required to get to 45?
Well, let's just say we were required to go to 45. Could we do that without actually restricting our day-to-day water use for like households? What we could say, no more watering lawns at all, or no more, like it's once a week, you can, do you think we could meet that number without saying to somebody in their house drinking water and bathing, restrict that use, just outside use, watering plants, etc.?
We would probably have to drop 30%.
Really?
For us to be under 45.
No, to get to 45, we're at 50 right now.
Yeah.
So to drop another 5, I don't know, maybe it's something we ought to kind of think about a little bit. It could happen to us.
Yeah, the way it's set up is we have our water conservation contingency plan, which is a document that we wrote and submitted to DWR in the state. And for each stage, so stage 2 is the last voluntary one. Stage 3 turns into mandatory. So you have to start doing things like only irrigating once a week or every other day or something like that. And we have to, that's what our plan is, we have to follow that plan, so it would, from stage 3 to 4 to 5, and each of those has various conservation measures that are established.
So I guess my question, Pat, is since we're already at 50, if we implemented those measures, we'd probably be okay.
Well, we're okay now.
Well,
But if it's trying to get to 45, I think James is right. I think we're probably looking at like a stage 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The plan has it set up that the board has to pass a resolution every time we move. Yeah. Stage to stage.
Let's hope the regionality concept is not a.
Well, we hope so. Scott, what that means to you is you only get to make pizza dough once a week.
Well, that's bullshit.
Much water goes in pizza dough?
That's right. We gotta watch you, buddy.
Okay, well, we need a motion on this, so.
All right, I'll move the motion.
I'll second it.
Dr. Bender?
Aye.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Thanks, everybody. All right, E7. Pat, are you gonna do this, or, I mean, without?
Yeah, I was gonna let Greg do it.
That's what I was thinking.
Without Greg being here, unless you want to do it. That's fine.
Don't know anything about it.
I'll read through this. So this is Introduction to California Class and discussion of becoming members to Joint Powers Agreement, and it is being presented by the Finance Committee, consisting of Directors Orsini and Couch, as well as myself. And this is an informational item only. If the board is interested in moving forward with this, then we would bring a resolution back to you. So the California Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, or California CLAS, is a joint exercise of powers entity authorized under section 6509.7 of the California Government Code as a pooled investment option created via a joint exercise of powers agreement by and among California public agencies. California CLAS is overseen and governed by a board of trustees who are participants in California CLAS. In the interest of investment diversification, NCSD has 5 separate investment type funds. The first one is a local area investment fund. The approximate balance is $139,000. The second one is a Humboldt County Fund, number 2560, with an approximate balance of $2.5 million. Number 3 is Humboldt County account number 4240, with the approximate balance of $3.4 million. Fourth is Humboldt County account number 9390, approximate balance $663,000. And the CalTrust account with an approximate balance of $10.3 million. The 3 Humboldt County funds are property taxes and designated reserve funds, including the Biosolids Reserve and the SRF Wastewater Management Facility Loan Reserve. The Lay Fund is an investment fund, but with minor assets designated for OPEB liabilities. Most of the district's investment funds are with CalTrust and are designated reserves for PERS or OPEB, capacity fees, catastrophic events, and repair and replacement projects. For the investments currently held in CalTrust that are not designated for PERS and OPEB reserves, which will likely be moved to a Section 115 trust, California CLAS is a new option for California that focuses specifically on special service district clients. Details of California CLAS and their fund manager public trust advisors are included as attachment 1. There are 2 main impetuses behind considering transferring some of the CalTrust funds to California CLAS. Number 1 is CalTrust is governed by a board consisting mainly of California city and county officials. California Special Districts Association, or the CSDA, was previously a partner with CalTrust, but after CSDA repeatedly requested to add special district members to the governing board, CalTrust dissolved the partnership in December of last year. The second reason is joining the California class as a founding member would enable MCSD to someday have staff or directors serve on the board of California class. To join the Joint Powers Agreement, the board would have to adopt a resolution similar to the one included as attachment 2. The available funds under California class are very similar to the funds the district currently invests with CalTrust. It is anticipated that fees with California class may be slightly lower, resulting in slightly higher returns, but of course nothing is guaranteed. The main advantage to joining California class is the focus on special services district's needs and concerns, and the ability to perhaps have MCSD board members or staff serve on the governing board at a future date. This would help ensure that the district's interests are addressed. So again, this is just mainly a informational item, and it was brought mainly, Greg talking as his role on the CSDA board. Talking to CSDA, and CSDA had been pushing CalTrust to have members of Special Services District on their board, and CalTrust frankly got annoyed with them and dissolved the partnership. So they set up this California class system. There was some pressure behind getting other people in the Joint Powers Agreement so they could set up the Joint Powers Agreement, but they got enough members, so it is established already, so that pressure has been taken off. If the board is interested in perhaps moving forward with this, like I said, we would bring a resolution back. And it is too bad that Director Orsini isn't here, because he definitely is the impetus behind this. It appears that Director Mayo has a question.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I don't have a question, but there's a lot of back story on all of this, and who will be administering things or not administering things for our funds, and that I don't want to go into completely right now. I want to bring this back definitely for a more in-depth deal, because it's really important to us to not have a particular financial entity trying to control our destiny and our future, who do not care about special districts and other types of investments that they may or may not want to make with our funds. So I definitely want this brought back. I don't think it's time sensitive, correct me if I'm wrong, but we need to bring it back with some more information, some, fair out, and at that time I'd be really happy to give my in-depth issues with some of a particular entity.
The Finance Committee had representatives of CSEA and of California Class and the Public Trust Associates give a presentation to them, and they were more than willing to come back and give that a similar presentation.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but and I am in support of the joint powers concept, I believe. But anyway, and that's my let's see. What are we at now? 33 1/3% of the conversation?
Okay, I'm kind of curious has the Board of Trustees been chosen for this yet?
The two, Colleen, you remember, so they had established the president and one other member for the Joint Powers Agreement.
How many members are going to be on this? I'm sorry, I didn't look at their website before the meeting. I was just going off of this.
I think they are setting up a 3 or 5 member board.
Sorry, I recall it being a 5-member board.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's in flux
still, and with significant lobbying, if in fact you wanted to, I think that number could increase.
Right, and they did say that too. in the presentation.
Their bylaws will allow more
Well, I
flexibility in
think
terms
they're-
of numbers.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think their bylaws are in flux a bit as well.
Could be.
So,
Okay, I think we could learn a little bit more about the direction this might be taken once the initial board of trustees are seated and we take a look at their backgrounds.
Yeah, and then so they did have the founding members of the Joint Powers Authority establish it, so there should be more detail.
Right, and CSDA would certainly have more, and I should have more data for you as well. But in fact, we are potentially in a position to perhaps have a member on that entity.
Yeah, and definitely, if not immediately,
Yes.
later on.
Yeah. Several members of this board are viable for that, but we do have a member of this board who's intimately a player with CSDA. And so anyway, but is that enough?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'd be supportive if we wanted to grow this.
You bring it back when it's convenient?
You want to move the table?
No, it's
just
this
information.
is just a recommendation. This is just direction to our
Discussion.
staff.
Okay, cool.
Just direction. Had it been an item, I would have asked to table it, yes.
All right, I'm gonna save this and do my own homework on it a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we done
Yeah.
with that part? So we go to section F, reports, active committee reports, Parks and Recreation Committee.
Okay, I've got nothing more to add, to augment Director Frisbee's report.
Area Fund, we'll skip that one. Redwood Region Economic Development Commission, anything?
Okay, REDAC did not meet this month because of a lack of pertinent agenda items. Also, they're expecting their preliminary audit to be released, and their auditor wasn't available. So they're gonna gather for their regular meeting I think this is the last Monday in June.
Have you been to the new meeting location, the new office?
No, not personally. I know where it is.
Yeah, I just was curious. Whether there was plenty.
Well, I've been there, but not when REDAC was there.
Yeah.
So,
I just
I
wanted
don't know
to.
what they've done with it, I'm curious.
All right, McKinleyville Senior Citizen Board Liaison?
Yeah, that is me again. Speaking as the executive director there. Okay, yeah, well, after Pony Express Days gets over, we're gonna start gearing up our programming a little bit. We're planning on adding craft courses during the daytime. Also, possibly using the Hewitt room in the mornings. We're gonna be doing some floor and chair exercises. As soon as I get T's crossed and I's dotted with the volunteer instructor. And I just wanted to say that I particularly appreciate the line of communication that I have with Ms. Messmer in the Parks and Recreation office. She's been real good about letting me know when there's other rent-paying tenants in the Hewitt room, and that's helpful. And I appreciate that. It's going to help us out both moving along. Other than that, I've got nothing else to report.
Thank you. So Audit and Finance Committee, I don't think we have anything to report. Employee negotiations, nothing to report. The McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee, any, only Greg, but
That. So the McMac didn't meet last weat, as Attorney Mayo has stated earlier. It was intended to talk about the town center ordinance. And in director, county planning director, John Ford, was supposed to be bringing back the ordinance, but he didn't get it finished. And now we're not quite sure whether they are gonna get it finished. So that very much is in flux now. Hopefully it doesn't just wither on the vine. So the McMac.
He's got 3 weeks left now.
Yeah, and he apparently had been talking to President Oliver of the McMac too, and was saying that he was gonna finish it up and get it to them, but we'll see. She's got other things that he is also trying to finish up.
My breath on that one.
So the McMac did switch their agenda. They had, actually, Professor Oliver, I can't remember his first name, present from Cal Poly, and he gave a very interesting presentation on the impacts and what the plan is from Cal Poly for adding additional student housing as well as additional teaching facilities. And it was a pretty interesting discussion that was had with what the impact on MCS or McKinleyville is going to be from the Cal Poly expansion. So that was the main thrust of it, and they did also talk about President Oliver. I don't want to keep saying Bonnie, but President Oliver also asked the McMac members to think about what sort of topics they wanted to bring to the joint meeting with McMac and MCSD. So that is going to be on a future agenda. That's about it.
No, we'll move on. Humboldt Local Agency Formation Commission. We did have a meeting. We talked about the Riverside CSDA in the Bottoms by Ferndale. That's about it. Environmental Matters Committee.
Dave, could I ask you, what's the status of Jamal? The special district there?
I don't know.
It's functioning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I mean.
That's all I wanted to know, yeah.
Yeah, it's been formed for
a while.
Wow, yeah.
Environmental Matters, we didn't meet. Ad hoc committee, community forest, anything on community
Oh,
forest?
we took a walk. And I suffered. I thought I was being bullied, but I suffered afterwards. Oh Christ, I couldn't walk the next day at all.
Didn't get to bring a horse and.
You know what? I just put shoes on my horse yesterday, and so he's lost 75 pounds. He's got new shoes, and I might be able to get a saddle on him now. Anyway, what's the lady's name? Where we the gate? And,
I don't remember.
Anyway, so it's there's going to be, it's out of the end of Cochrane, and so we're going to have to do some. It's a really good spot to do some road improvement, access improvement there. So, I've been out there a long time, and that access takes us really close to where Hunt Drive comes up and ends. So you're really close there. So anyway.
Well, thank you. So next is F2, legislative and regulatory reports. Do we have anything there?
I just say Aqua has on their webpage kind of like an informational survey. If anybody wanted to go online and see, they're asking for your, what your druthers are, and they're just kind of seeking what's going on, what you think about stuff, and whatever. So I I filled my part of it out. To more conferences closer to home is what I have to travel so much. Anyway.
Thank you. Well, let's see, we have staff reports. Anyone have a staff report that, they want?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. We are starting the 21-22 audit. So the auditors are going to be on site at the district office next week to start what we call interim testing, which is where they look at specific accounts and just look for, irregularities. They're not going to find any, but that's what they're looking for. So they will be on site, and we will help them with that, and then we'll have an audit kickoff meeting likely sometime in July. Other updates that we have, the May lock day is complete. We ended up locking 20 customers.
Ooh, wow.
But support services staff did an excellent job of contacting those customers, acquiring payments, and or arranging amortization. And they were able to return service to 19 of those customers. So the remaining customer was sent to collections, and that was due to abandonment of service. And then finally, our customer service representative, Eva Young, is training on accounts payable, and that's part of our district's commitment to cross-train staff in a variety of areas, and she's doing an excellent job with that.
Thank you. Hey, James, it's your.
I have nothing further to add at this time.
Solid. I just wanted to say, though, that I'm glad that you're getting trained properly to make sure our irregularities are hidden well.
That's why we have the auditors looking. So.
Well, we gotta make sure they're hidden.
I thought the same thing when she said.
I know, I was thinking.
Well, let's see. I don't think we have any Parks and Recreation report.
No, Leslie's there.
Was Leslie there? Leslie, do you have any?
I'm here. I don't have anything further to add, but thank you.
Thank you.
Stayed on for that. Good job.
Yep.
Long haul.
Pat, do you have?
I do actually have a couple things I want to add. One, I want to, again, highlight that the district staff has saved $344,465 in cost savings so far this year, and there's still 1 month left for cost savings. So that's a major impact on our ability to keep rates down and get the CIP stuff done. One other thing that isn't reflected in that number is I'm wondering if anybody noticed that your board packets are copied in black and white this time. Our copier lease was up for renewal. By cutting down, a few hundred of color copies, we could lower our lease price by roughly $2,400. So we opted to go with that lease.
Sounds good.
Yeah, our biggest savings in color copies is copying these in black and white as opposed to color. Director Orsini did notice that.
Did you have a comment for him?
I'll quote that's the first part of his text. I'm troubled that our board packet was in black and white. So he definitely did notice. And there's a couple things, the finance director's report, there's the colored graphs in there, but I think the lines and the bars, it's easy to tell what is what. If you go back and look at the budget and the pie charts in the budget, it's harder to tell what each of those pieces of the pie, what color they are. But then the data is just right above, so you can look at the table and get the data. Things like that we could, if there are things that really need to be in color, it's more work for April, but she can pull those things out and do them in color. But unless there's a big objection to it, we are gonna read it in black and white.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to be sure tonight and send Mr. Orsini a message and tell him how happy I was that we troubled him.
Staff supports that.
I'm going to too.
The other thing I did want to mention is that, and I put it in one of the emails this week, I did have a meeting with the sheriff's office that analyzes the floor plan. They do want to do the expansion. They would love for us to pay for it, and I told them we have absolutely no money to pay for it.
They just got a bunch of money.
Yeah, so they are, we left it with, both of us are gonna be looking for grant opportunities. They did just get a grant too to expand their Garberville station, and they were gonna look into that. I frankly told them, you know, if you put this on the district, it's kind of on the bottom of my priority list to find. Hopefully they do. Just the money. So that is it for me.
Thank you. Well, let's see. I have no report as president. Board comments, announcements, reports, and agenda items. Does anyone have any?
What?
Supervisor Madrone is.
Well, I see. Yeah. Well. Okay. Supervisor Madrone has been attending our meeting, listening in. Do you have anything to say? Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, President Couch. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, no, nothing to report. You know, if you do want to get those numbers that Director Mayo was talking about earlier about housing and available lots, send me a letter and I'll see what I can do to get that information for you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, they don't have it. No, good luck.
Who knows?
They don't have it.
Okay. All right, well, we have no board member comments, announcements, and agenda items. Seeing none, we're adjourned.